Now we need to talk about whether or not the Yankees are going to make what I think is a big mistake and trade their top prospect, Jasson Dominguez, at the trade deadline here on August 1st, whether that's for a big arm pitcher or it's for a big bat. It depends on who they're targeting, but I'd like to see Jasson Dominguez stay in a Yankees uniform as a Yankees fan. And I think he could be a difference maker for, the next 10 plus years as a consistent all-star once he rounds into form and actually starts to, master the minors and obviously get into the major leagues. I think there's huge upside. So hopefully they don't do it. But the reason why we're bringing that up, of course, is because there's been a lot of trade rumors now with his name being thrown into the mix for guys like Ohtani, for Juan Soto. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think for those two guys, it might be worth it. Though those are not average names. Maybe more for Juan Soto, only because he does have an extra year in arbitration. So the Yankees would have him for an extra year. Even for Ohtani, though, it's tough, man. I mean, look, the thing is, these guys have a lot of hype. He had his nickname is the Martian, right? He has power in the minor leagues. He's not hitting for average that well. But again, he's only 20 years old. So I think there's definitely a lot of upside with him. A lot of prospects have a lot of hype and they fizzle out and they never turn. Odds are he's not going to be good. That's just how it is in the pros, and that's how it is in the MLB. You're hyped up. He signed a really good contract. I think it was around $5 million or something. I could be wrong, but it's somewhere around that range. So the Yankees thought highly of him, but it kind of reminds me too of my boy, Yoan Moncada. Yoan Moncada signed the largest contract for a minor leaguer at $30-something million. He was supposed to be the man, and I wouldn't say he's like a failure because he's a good major leaguer, but he didn't live up to that. He didn't live up to the Yoan Moncada hype that came out. Now, he went from Boston to the White Sox. Now, had a few injuries. Was it worth it? You know what I'm saying? What was it? Is Jasson going to be like that? Where he's just going to be an average major leaguer? And if that's the case, is it worth it to trade for a superstar, that you already know is a superstar in Juan Soto and Ohtani? And that's kind of the main ones that I could think of off the top of my head, at least for this trade deadline.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's take a look at some of Jasson's stats in the minor leagues right now, just to get a flavor for how he's doing. So here at Baseball Reference, we could take a quick look at Jasson Dominguez's stats, see what we think of it to this point. As Omar mentioned, they signed him at 16, and you got to remember his first year, he actually missed the entire year because of the minor leagues not being played because of the pandemic. So you're talking about a 16-year-old kid who got signed for $5 million, loads of potential, loads of hype, but didn't get his first year in terms of development. He literally missed the whole year, and that's why you see here his first actual season in the minors with the Yankees organization was at the age of 18. And you could see how he's sort of developed. They've been aggressive with him when you think about it, because right now he's playing in AA and he's only 20 years old. And the age gap between Jasson Dominguez and the average player in AA is about 3.8 years. So he's a lot younger than the competition that he's playing with. And you could see he's hit 11 home runs, stolen 25 bases, and has about 43 RBIs and hitting 217. On-base percentage is 358. So what do we think about this in regards to his age relative to, not necessarily hitting for a high batting average, but still having some respectable stats across the board?
I like the on-base percentage. It's pretty good. The batting average is a lot to be desired, obviously. He does have some pop. I like that 32 home runs. He's a strong guy. I saw the pictures. Dude's huge. He's like Bo Jackson. He kind of reminds me of like a Bo Jackson. He's 20 years old. At 20 years old, this is going to sound really dumb, but Juan Soto was winning a World Series at 20 years old. And we said in another video, he was World Series MVP. There we go. When you could trade for someone potentially like that for a Jasson Dominguez, and obviously you're going to have to add in some other stuff, is it worth it though? I'm 50-50. Juan Soto's already a star. He's not doing that great right now in the Padres. Well, he's not doing like he was in the Nationals. I don't like the idea of giving up the farm for one player. I'm not crazy about that. But again, you never know what these players are going to become. They could your 8th round pick could become the next Mike Trout in baseball. You never really know. So it doesn't, just because Dominguez was signed for so much money doesn't guarantee him success. It's almost impossible to know in baseball. So these numbers are good. And like you said, the most important thing is he's almost 4 years younger than the average player. Would you like to see him trade? I know. Okay, you already said you wouldn't like to see him traded. And plus, I know you have his card. Can you show them his?
Yeah, I'm very invested in Dominguez in the sense of I'm a collector as well. From a card standpoint, this is his first rookie card that's autographed, and so it's just a card I have in my collection. But
his first Bowman card. That's his
first Bowman card. Yeah, first Bowman card.
You're gonna start a war here. Don't do that.
yeah, right. As a Yankee fan, I think as any fan, it's very cool to see your guy, a homegrown guy, come up from the minors and then make an impact and help your team win, right? That's why I'm sort of biased to holding on to Dominguez. However, I do feel like if there's the right player, and we could talk about Shohei Ohtani and we could talk about Juan Soto, I actually would be okay with the Yankees considering trading Dominguez in those two scenarios. Those are like the only two exceptions I think I would want to make for trading Dominguez, but we would have to sign either of those guys long-term. You can't just give up Dominguez for a rental for 4 months or for 6 months. You have to sign those guys up. Those two guys, I'm actually open to trading Dominguez just because of the potential he has and parting ways with him. But I've seen rumors about the Yankees, let's say, trading Dominguez for like a Shane Bieber from the Guardians. Like, I would absolutely not have it if the Yankees traded Jasson Dominguez for a pitcher. I don't care who the pitcher is. There's very few pitchers I'd probably be okay with, probably none. I'm never a fan of trading what could potentially be a superstar outfielder for the next 10 to 12 to 15 years in your outfield for an arm that probably could get Tommy John next year. Like, we talk about running backs in football. I almost feel like pitchers are like that in baseball because it's just too risky to trade for an arm for someone who could be a perennial all-star and an everyday player. To me, Shohei, maybe I would be okay with. Soto, I would be okay with from a Dominguez standpoint if they sign long-term deals with the Yankees, but that's pretty much it. Anybody else the Yankees want to go after, I don't think is worth trading someone with the upside of Jasson Dominguez. That's just it. Bottom line, period. Case closed.